She stepped into the elevator and was never seen alive again. What happened in that hallway still haunts the internet to this day. Lena Zhou was 22, smart, curious, a communications student from Vancouver, taking a break to explore the West Coast on her own. This was her first solo trip, no chaperones, no rules, just her camera, her blog, and a craving for adventure. The first leg of the trip was uneventful. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco. She checked in daily with her parents, updated her Tumblr with photos, poetry, and musings. Her online presence painted a picture of someone full of life, introspective, and eager to document every moment. But something changed when she arrived in Los Angeles. It was January 27th when she checked into the Briarcliff Hotel, a faded relic of the city's darker days, towering above Skid Row like a shadow that never left. The place was cheap, historic, and soaked in bad vibes. Tourists who dared to stay there often left early, complaining of odd noises, flickering lights, or just a feeling. Lena originally booked a shared room to cut costs, but that arrangement didn't last long. Within a day, her roommates went to hotel management and asked for her removal. They claimed she was acting strange, talking to herself, hiding their belongings, laughing at nothing. Hotel staff moved her into a single room. That was the last time anyone truly interacted with her. Over the next few days, Lena stopped calling her family. Her Tumblr account, once active daily, went silent. Her posts, usually vibrant and whimsical, had taken a darker turn in the days prior. Cryptic quotes, blurry photos, captions like, "They watch," and "No silence in the walls." By January 31st, her parents were alarmed enough to call the LA. They flew down from Vancouver and joined the search. Flyers with her face, dark hair, pale skin, wide black eyes, went up across the city. Police searched her room, combed through the hotel's grainy surveillance footage, and spoke to every employee. All said the same thing. She was quiet, seemed distracted, but nothing alarming. Until they found the footage, the elevator video. Hotel security captured her last known moments. Alone, inside a malfunctioning lift on the 14th floor. What it revealed would send the internet into a frenzy. In the video, Lena steps into the elevator quickly. She presses several buttons, then waits. But the doors don't close. She peeks out into the hallway, looking left, right, like she's searching for someone or something. She presses herself into the corner of the elevator, crouching, hands over her head. Then she steps out, then back in, repeating the sequence like she's trapped in some invisible loop. Her arms move in strange patterns, fluid, twitchy, almost ritualistic. She appears to speak, but her mouth barely opens. She covers her ears. Then suddenly she walks away, down the hallway, out of frame. That was the last time anyone saw Lena Zhou alive. Within hours of being released, the footage went viral. Millions were drawn to it, not because of what it showed, but because of what it didn't. No threat ever appears. No one follows her. No explanation emerges. Just that eerie, inexplicable behavior, as if something unseen was toying with her mind. And then, silence. Days turned into weeks, and the mystery only deepened. What could drive a young woman to act like that? Was it drugs? Fear? Mental collapse? Or something worse? The police were quiet. The hotel refused to comment, and online forums exploded with speculation. But the answers, the real answers, wouldn't come until weeks later, when someone finally checked the roof. The footage was time-stamped January 31st, early afternoon. Just another unremarkable day, until you see what unfolded inside elevator 14B. It begins with Lena stepping inside, wearing a red hoodie and a black skirt. She presses multiple buttons, one after another, then steps back to wait. That's when it gets strange. The doors stay open for an unusually long time, almost unnaturally so. Lena's body language changes fast. She edges closer to the doorway, pokes her head out, looks both ways, then snaps back inside. She hides against the wall as if afraid of something just beyond view, something that never comes into frame. Then, without warning, she lunges forward, stepping out into the hallway entirely. Her limbs move erratically, her arms flail for a moment, fingers stretching wide like she's feeling the air. Her steps look disjointed, uncoordinated, not drunken, but unnatural, disconnected. She turns to the elevator again and re-enters. Her movements become more exaggerated. She presses the buttons repeatedly, slamming her fingers into them in a quick burst, like someone in panic. Then she steps to the side, pauses, steps back out. It's what she does next that truly disturbs people. She starts waving her hands, slowly at first, then with more intensity. Her gestures are odd, not random, but precise in a way that feels practiced, ritualistic even. Her fingers splay and curl, as if she's tracing invisible symbols in the air. At times, she moves like she's whispering to someone only she can see. Her back arches slightly, her posture shifts forward. She sways, back and forth. Then, in the final moments, she drifts out of view. The elevator doors finally shut, but the screen stays empty, still. That's it. The last known footage of Lena Zhou, alive. The video itself is silent. There's no sound, no narration, just grainy, low-resolution footage and the haunting presence of a girl who looks hunted by a ghost no one else can see. The internet, of course, had a field day. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube analysis channels uploaded frame-by-frame breakdowns. Body language experts and paranormal investigators weighed in. Some claimed Lena was hiding from someone. Others believed she was suffering a psychotic break. Then the stranger theories crept in. Time slips, demonic forces, glitch in the matrix, and there was something else. The elevator itself, why didn't it move? Why did the doors stay open for that long when hotel elevators typically close within seconds? Was it malfunctioning? Jammed? Or was someone holding the door open button from the hallway just out of frame? The footage sparked more questions than answers. Some swore they could see a shadow move past the hallway. Others enhanced the video and pointed out subtle blurs, possible signs of someone edited out. These claims never led anywhere concrete. Even odder, hotel staff initially claimed the elevator was working fine, no reports of mechanical failure. Later, they changed their tune and cited a glitch in the software. But the inconsistency only fueled more speculation, and Lena's behavior didn't fit any clear explanation. Toxicology tests would later reveal nothing. No drugs, no alcohol, no toxin, which left the public wondering, was this the result of pure fear? Was Lena running from someone or something we never got to see? It didn't help that the LAPD, after releasing the video, fell silent. No official suspects, no updates, no evidence of a crime. Just that footage, looping over and over, like a cursed recording you couldn't unsee. People became obsessed. They scoured her blog posts for clues. They tracked down her clothing, her last meals, her final online interactions. They tried to recreate the elevator layout. Some even visited the Briarcliff themselves to ride the elevator, hoping to experience something. But the trail was cold. No witnesses, no security footage outside of that elevator clip. No sign of a break-in or assault. Her room showed no signs of a struggle. Her things, books, clothes, toiletries, were left behind in perfect order. It was as if she had simply walked out of reality, but something sinister still lingered. A tension in the footage, a psychological tightness that makes your skin crawl. The way she moves, the sense of being hunted, the doors refusing to close. It's the stuff of nightmares. And then, 2 weeks later, as the investigation floundered, the complaints began. From inside the hotel, guests on the upper floors reported strange water pressure, black-tinted water, a foul smell. Some said the tap water had a bitter taste. Others claimed their showers ran brown. When the maintenance crew was dispatched to check the plumbing, They followed the pipes all the way up to the rooftop, where 4 massive cistern tanks sat, each locked, sealed, and elevated on steel platforms, nearly 10 feet off the concrete. What they found inside one of them would shock the world. But before that horror came into view, the world had already seen something else. A girl, alone, stepping into an elevator and disappearing. They sent a technician up to the roof. Just a routine maintenance check, or so they thought. The complaints had become too frequent. Guests were angry, management was embarrassed, and nobody could explain why the water tasted off. Bitter. Metallic. Foul. The tanks themselves sat high above the rooftop of the Briarcliff. 4 large metal cisterns, each roughly 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide. They weren't easy to reach. To even get onto the roof, you had to pass through a locked door, climb a metal ladder, and cross a narrow platform. On top of that, the lids were sealed. Not impossible to open, but not something you'd stumble into by accident. But when the technician climbed up to Tank 3, the smell hit him first. Rotten. Sharp. Like decay trapped in warm metal. He popped the hatch. What he saw inside would haunt him for the rest of his life. A naked body, floating face up, skin bloated, limbs adrift like seaweed. Long black hair fanned out on the water's surface, swaying with every ripple. There was no sign of trauma, no blood, no wounds, just the pale, lifeless body of Lena Zhou. It was February 19th, 19 days since she vanished. Her clothes were later found at the bottom of the tank, along with her hotel keycard and watch. No signs of struggle, no signs of forced entry to the rooftop, no obvious explanation as to how she got up there in the first place. And that's when the questions really began. Let's start with the most obvious. How did she even access the tanks? The hotel claimed the rooftop door was alarmed, meaning if someone opened it, a loud siren would sound, alerting security immediately. But during that entire 19-day window, not a single alarm was triggered. Stranger still, the only other way up was via a fire escape on the side of the building, an exposed metal staircase with no railing at the very top, requiring a dangerous climb to reach the platform. Lena was not known to be especially athletic, and she was wearing slip-on shoes. No fingerprints were found on the hatch lid, no footprints on the dusty rooftop. Nothing. Then there's the tank itself. To open the heavy lid and climb inside would have required strength and intent. It wasn't an easy drop either. Once inside, there would be no way to get out. The interior walls were slick metal, no handles, no steps, and the water level was low, meaning she would have had to jump down several feet into cold, stagnant water. It's hard to imagine someone doing that voluntarily, especially naked, especially at night. But there was no evidence of foul play. No signs of a struggle. No DNA from anyone else. And once again, the hotel cameras showed nothing. No footage of her reaching the roof. No footage of her exiting her floor. Just the elevator footage, and then silence. The official cause of death? Drowning. The coroner ruled it an accidental death, citing no drugs in her system, no alcohol, and no physical trauma. They did mention her known diagnosis of bipolar disorder, and that's where the authorities stopped looking. Case closed. But not for everyone, because too much didn't add up, too many contradictions. Let's go back to that tank. When the body was recovered, the lid was closed, sealed, not partially, not ajar, fully shut. Investigators never confirmed whether Lena had the strength to close it from the inside, which would be virtually impossible given the design. No ladders inside, no grips, just slick, cold steel. And water. So, who closed the lid? The hotel never answered that question. Then came the water analysis. Guests had been drinking and bathing in that water for weeks, brushing their teeth, showering, even cooking. The discovery made national headlines. Lawsuits followed. The Briarcliff issued a brief public statement, but refused interviews. Management claimed their security system was under review, but records were sealed. No further comment. Meanwhile, the internet spiraled deeper into speculation. Was Lena murdered? Pushed by someone who knew the rooftop layout? Someone who bypassed the alarms, dumped the body, and vanished? Or did she climb in on her own, in a state of psychosis, overwhelmed by fear, perhaps fleeing from something no one else could see? Some believe she was trying to hide. Others thought it was symbolic, the dark, ritualistic end. A sacrifice. There were even comparisons to ancient water burial rites, though the parallels were speculative at best. Still, the image lingered. A young woman, alone, climbing a hotel rooftop in the dead of night, opening a sealed tank, removing her clothes, climbing inside, and then dying in silence, unseen, undiscovered, for weeks. It didn't feel like an accident. It felt like a message, one no one could decipher. Even the authorities, after 4 months, provided no timeline, no reconstruction of her final hours, no explanation for how all the security systems failed, just a quiet, clinical conclusion: accidental death, exacerbated by mental illness. But for many, that wasn't enough. Not even close. Because this wasn't just about a disappearance. It was about everything surrounding it. The inconsistencies, the eerie footage, the silent hotel, the sealed tank. It was about the impossible logistics and the terrifying simplicity of it all. 1 minute Lena was alive. The next, she was waterlogged and lifeless, floating inches beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight. And from this moment forward, her story would become more than just a tragedy. It would become a legend. The girl in the tank. The mystery no one could explain. What happened to Lena Zhou doesn't end with the tank. That's just the beginning of the real descent. The part where the lines between reality and something else begin to blur. Because almost immediately after her body was found, theories began to spread. Online forums lit up. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube was flooded with speculation. This wasn't just an accident, they said. This was a puzzle, and someone had buried the pieces. Let's look at the theories. Not the official story, but the ones people can't stop talking about. First, the mental health explanation. Authorities leaned on this heavily. Lena had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder years earlier. She was on medication, mood stabilizers, and antidepressants. According to the toxicology report, she had skipped some doses. That led investigators to suggest a manic episode, a psychological break. They claimed she may have wandered to the roof in a state of delusion, removed her clothes because of disorientation, climbed inside the tank thinking it was a hiding place, or worse, a kind of salvation. But even that theory crumbles under basic logic. How does someone in a full-blown manic episode bypass a locked rooftop? Climb a 10-foot tank, open a sealed lid, strip down, lower themselves inside, and shut the lid behind them? It's not impossible, but it's improbable. And improbable isn't good enough when a life is lost under such bizarre conditions. Then came the stalker theory. Some viewers of the elevator footage pointed to Lena's behavior. The way she hides, peeks around corners, presses herself into the wall. It looked like she was trying to escape someone. What if she was? She'd been traveling alone, posting updates online, tagging her location in real time. Anyone could have tracked her. A stranger, a fan, someone watching from afar. If someone followed her, waited until she was isolated, manipulated her behavior, or threatened her, it could explain the erratic movement, the fear in her body language. It could also explain how she ended up on the roof. Not by choice, but by force. Yet, no fingerprints were ever found, no one on camera, not a single eyewitness. And still, the gut feeling remains. Something was after her. Then it got darker. People started connecting her story to pop culture, to something chilling and familiar. A horror film, released years before her death, Dark Water. In the movie, a little girl dies in a rooftop water tank of a rundown apartment building. Her death causes black water to seep through the pipes. Tenants begin to complain. A mother uncovers the truth. Her daughter's ghost haunts the building. The similarities are eerie: the rooftop tank, the complaints about strange water, the isolated woman, the descent into madness, the themes of drowning and invisibility. Even the name of the film itself feels prophetic. Was this just coincidence? Maybe, but the parallels didn't stop there. Soon after Lena's body was found, something else happened. A tuberculosis outbreak. It started downtown, not far from the hotel. It spread quickly, and health authorities launched a major testing campaign to track the infection. The test they used? It was called the Lam ELISA, yes? Lam ELISA. Lipoarabinomannan enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. A mouthful. A scientific coincidence, maybe. But to those already primed by the strange details surrounding Lena's death, it felt like something more. Like a code. Like a message. As if her name had been etched into the medical response for a disease that surfaced after she died. People didn't know what to believe anymore. The rational began to mix with the irrational. Reality began to blur into folklore. This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a narrative. One filled with echoes, synchronicities, impossible parallels. A story playing out across screens and cities, facts and fiction. And the hotel at the center of it all? That wasn't just a location anymore. It was a character in its own right. Something old, watching, waiting. And the deeper people dug, the darker it got. Because this wasn't the first time something like this happened at that hotel, and it wouldn't be the last. The building where Lena Zhou vanished isn't just another hotel. It's a monument to misery, a structure soaked in shadow, a place with a name but no soul. It's called the Redwood Grand, a towering block of concrete and iron in the middle of downtown Los Angeles, built in the 1920s with grand ambitions. Marble in the lobby, Art Deco detailing, 15 floors of promise, but it didn't take long before the dream began to rot. The Great Depression hit, the glamour faded, and the neighborhood around the Redwood Grand decayed into one of the city's roughest stretches. A stretch that came to be known as the edge of Skid Row. The hotel never recovered. And what followed was a parade of tragedy, one after another, like the building itself was feeding off the despair inside. Let's start with the deaths. There were suicides, dozens over the decades. People jumped from windows, slashed wrists in bathtubs, swallowed poison behind locked doors. A woman threw herself and her newborn out of a 9th-floor window. Another man, who had been staying under a false name, was found with a slit throat and no weapon anywhere in the room. That's just the start. In the 40s, a woman named Dorothy Jean was murdered in one of the rooms. Bludgeoned, body stuffed under the bed. No one noticed for days until the stench began to spread. The police never found her killer. And then there were the infamous guests. In the 1980s, the Redwood Grand was home, if you can call it that, to Richard Ramirez. You know the name, the Night Stalker. The man who terrorized Southern California with a string of home invasions and brutal murders. He would return to the hotel in the dead of night, toss his blood-soaked clothes in the dumpster out back, and stroll barefoot through the lobby, no one ever questioning him. A few years later, another serial killer, Jack Unterweger, stayed there. Claimed to be reformed, even writing for magazines. But during his stay, he murdered 3 women, all strangled with their own bra. He chose the hotel for a reason. He knew the history. He wanted to be part of it. The Redwood Grand had become a magnet for death, a spiritual dead zone. It earned nicknames. The Suicide Hotel, the Gateway. Paranormal investigators started to circle. Ghost stories bubbled up from former staff. They spoke of cold spots in empty rooms, phones ringing with no one on the other end, doors locking by themselves. Elevators moving without command. Some even claimed to see things. Faces in mirrors that didn't belong to any guest. Shadows passing in the hallway when no one else was around. And through it all, the management kept changing. Renovation after renovation, new ownership, new branding, new paint on the walls. But the darkness stayed. It always stayed. You can't bury a curse under drywall. By the time Lena Zhou walked through those front doors in 2013, the Redwood Grand was already a legend. A monument to everything tragic, terrifying, and unsolved. She probably didn't know, but the building did. It had seen people like her before, alone, adrift, searching for something, and it had taken them too. Because here's the truth no one wants to hear. Some places aren't haunted by ghosts. They are the ghost. They carry the imprint of every scream, every broken body, every unanswered question. They are alive in the worst possible way, not flesh and blood, but in memory and violence. And the Redwood Grand? It remembers everything. Even if you try to forget. No matter how many times you replay that elevator footage, no matter how deeply you dig through the case files, and no matter how rational the official explanation may seem, there's one inescapable truth that refuses to go away. None of it makes sense. Let's look at what they told us. Lena Zhou, a bright, creative 21-year-old, suffered from bipolar disorder. She had a manic episode, wandered up to the roof, somehow bypassed security systems, climbed onto a massive water tank, opened a heavy metal hatch, took off her clothes, and drowned. Alone, without leaving a note, without triggering any alarms, without anyone seeing a thing. That's the story they gave us. But is it the truth? Let's revisit what we still can't explain. How did she even access the roof? It was locked with coded doors and security measures in place. Why did no alarms go off? How did she lift a tank lid that weighed over 40 pounds and managed to close it after entering? Why was her phone never recovered? And why? Was she acting the way she was in that elevator? Mental illness can explain some things, but not everything, especially not the dread that pulses through that elevator footage. Her gestures, her timing, the way she seems to respond to something we can't see, something just outside the frame. Some say she was being followed. Others think she was under the influence of a powerful hallucinogen. But her toxicology report showed no signs of drugs or alcohol, not even prescription levels of her medication. Some theories drift into the realm of the supernatural, that she was lured by something the human eye can't perceive, that she became trapped in a place where reason breaks down, a spiritual vortex, a thin space between the living and the dead. And then there's the conspiracy angle. What if she saw something she wasn't supposed to? What if someone silenced her? What if the whole thing was covered up? The eerie coincidences only deepen the mystery. A tuberculosis outbreak in the area days after her death? The test used to detect it, named Lamilisa. That's not a theory. That's a documented medical reality. And then there's the horrifying resemblance to the 2005 horror film Dark Waters, where a girl's body is found in a rooftop water tank and the residents complain about the water tasting strange. Art imitating life, or life following a script? There's something wrong here, something no one's willing to admit. The Redwood Grand has tried to bury the past. It's changed its name. Renovated, rebranded. But history doesn't die just because the paint is fresh. Every wall in that place still whispers. Every hallway remembers. And Lena Zhou's name is carved in shadow. The truth? It may never be found. It might be floating in a rooftop tank, or locked inside an elevator that no longer runs, or trapped in a corrupted file somewhere on the internet, waiting to be watched again. And maybe that's the scariest part. Not that the case is unsolved, but that it was never meant to be solved. If this story haunted you, if it made you feel the chill of something unseen, then you're exactly who we speak for. because silence protects the unexplainable. But curiosity? Curiosity threatens it. So don't stop asking questions. Don't stop digging. Subscribe now for more real, unexplained mysteries. The ones buried, erased, or written off far too easily. Turn on notifications because the next story we uncover is closer to home than you think. And remember, the world is much stranger than anyone wants to admit.